Game of Thrones Season 4, Episode 1. 2 swords.
How long were you thinking of that one, huh?
When I saw the title of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got a 2 Chainz reference.
No, yeah, I got it. It was.
Okay.
Hope it was worth it.
You know what? If this was back in 2013, when he's fresh off of Mercy.
I'm looking at the Social Blade right now, and even though this hasn't released yet, the subs are going down. It's crazy.
Oh, I thought you were going to say going up.
Oh, no. Way down. And it's weird because it's not even released yet. How do you think that works? Unless our podcast really bonds.
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah.
I think in hindsight, Tywin Lannister was glad that the War of the Five Kings happened, because even before the war, he was very venerated throughout Westeros. He's a man who commanded respect and fear, and everybody knew what he was capable of. But I think the war gave him a chance to just build on his legacy and reputation even more. And in this sequence, he's just enjoying the ultimate spoil of war, the Valyrian steel sword Ice, taken from House Stark.
Well, if you think about it, before this whole thing happened, he was really kind of on the shelf for a while, just at Castle Rock. All of his old glory kind of faded away, where he's just left as... He still has that aura around him and a Lannister name, but it's more with what happened to Jaime, and you have Tyrion, the way he's looked at. And him at the end of Robert's Rebellion, how his kind of name got tarnished by showing up late and then turning against the Targaryens. He's kind of just been on the sidelines, and once Ned was out of the picture, you can just see him he was ready to go, take back and remind everyone who the Lannisters are. It's not just the Reigns of Castamere, it's not a one-hit wonder, even though that shit slaps, but they're going to be writing songs now about how I destroyed the Starks and basically won the War of the Five Kings single-handed, because... Yeah, Joffrey's the king, but everyone knows Tywin's pulling the strings.
And we've gotten some pushback, too, in the comments when we call him a great general, a great mind for warfare, because Robb Stark did win every battle that he fought. But it's a matter of history being written by the victors. We say that all the time, especially in this show. And he was able to pull off moves that weren't on the battlefield, but we saw it in the last episode that he says, what's more honorable, killing men at dinner or men on the battlefield? And he had the balls to pull that move off, regardless of how people are going to look upon him. And like he said, it's all about the legacy for him. And the sword, too, is something that meant a lot to him personally, because it's the one thing that House Lannister didn't have. They had it at one point with Brightroar. That was their ancestral sword. But it was lost by King Tom II, and then Tywin's brother, Garyon, tried to retrieve it. Both of them sailing to Valyria, trying to learn the old ways of magic. But they were both lost, so was the sword. And this means just so much to him, and the whole sequence, the way that his screen presence in this scene, it's that final thing for him to achieve, for him to be happy with his legacy.
Yeah, and you just hear the Reigns of Castamere playing in the background while basically a symbol of House Stark being melted just shows the destruction of House Stark, how he single-handedly did that.
Yeah,
and
it starts with the Stark theme.
Yeah.
And it subtly goes into Reigns of Castamere.
And then he throws the pelts into the fire, and that's it. It's all over.
And I wish they would go into more of the secrets of Valyrian steel. Maybe we'll see it in Season 8. It's one of those things that there are a bunch of theories of how did the Targaryens, how did the Valyrian people create this magical metal? Because it is essentially just a magical sword. I think there's a quote by Brienne in the books, too, where she says she feels bad about using it in combat because it's essentially a magical weapon that it gives the wielder. Obviously, you need to be a good swordsman, but it's lighter, it's stronger than average steel. And I don't know, you think we'll get some of the secrets of Valyrian steel in Season 8?
I don't think so. I think it's already established what the Valyrian steel is used for and the threat coming, so I think they're just going to leave it at that, but who knows?
Because even the books, the man who makes the Valyrian steel sword for him, he brings him from, it's one of the cities in Essos, Qohor, I think it's called. But that character was designated as the blacksmith who was training Gendry in Season 1. But it's still a great cold opening.
Waiting a year to see that episode, it's kind of like, yeah, remember what happened?
Yeah.
Just in case y'all forgot.
Watching it on HBO Go, too, the season recap for Season 3 was chilling.
That's the first time during the rewatch that they've had previously.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of on the last Game of Thrones. And we see throughout this episode, there's a lot of faces that turn up after we haven't seen them in a while.
And in this next scene after the cold opening, the credits run. It's Tywin gifting Jaime this Valyrian steel sword.
That's such a fucking great transition, too, right into that theme after... him throwing the pelt into the fire and him looking over it and going right into the Game of Thrones theme. Awesome stuff.
It's funny, too. been bringing up the books in the beginning of this review, but Jaime thinks that this is a slight by Tywin, that he's almost mocking him by giving him this sword. And he says to Brienne at one point that, at one point I would have given my right hand to wield this sword. Looks like I have.
That's a good point.
But it does feel genuine. It's almost like Tywin when you're trying to gift your children something to get them to do what you want them to do.
Well, yeah, we know when he says that he begins his plans of having Jaime take the seat at Castle Rock and give up his position as Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, as set precedent by Joffrey when he let Sir Barristan go. But Jaime, he tells him about his reputation, about what do they call me, Kingslayer, Oathbreaker, and all these different things, where you could tell that he doesn't want to break oaths anymore. He wants to be seen the way he believes he should be. And even something so easy to do, just to take one of the most powerful seats in Westeros, he still wants to keep his vows. It's honorable in a way.
Yeah, it is. And Tywin even confronts him and says, what do you want? And that's why Jaime's my favorite character, because his motivations, his desires are so complex. Everything about this character is complex. And I think deep down, he truly doesn't know what he wants.
Well, I thought he wanted to say Cersei, but he knew he couldn't.
Right, yeah, I think at the end of the day, that's the one thing that he knows that he does want. And it's Tywin once again just putting emotion over logic, because the logical decision here would be to place Tyrion as the Lord of Casterly Rock. And I, even going back a couple of episodes, I said that he makes the right decision by not giving him the title of Lord of Casterly Rock. But I think Jaime would be a good ruler as well, and it's got to be frustrating for Tywin when you have your heir, somebody who is just created by the gods to be a ruler, to be a leader, and he just refuses to take that position. It's got to be frustrating. Jaime has the line, too, where he says, I guess you're going to want to be keeping the sword, and Tywin says, keep it. A man with one hand and no family needs all the help he can get.
It's funny, because I love how the contrast of the conversations between Tyrion and Tywin and Jaime and Tywin, where this is really the first time we've seen them together since that
Season 1, yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of that same shot of Tyrion walking out and Jaime walking out, where Tyrion's kind of pissed after that conversation they have about, he says, oh, by the way, next whore I find in your bed, I'll hang. And Jaime's kind of like laughing a little. He's smiling when he's walking out. But it's that same shot and just that difference between them and their relationships with their father.
And then it goes to Tyrion in this scene that he's been sent to meet the Martell visiting party. And it just shows how little they respect the Martell family, that they're going to send somebody that they don't respect, the Lannisters. They're going to send Tyrion to meet them. And the Martells are almost prepared for this as well, because Oberyn Martell is not there to greet Tyrion, and Doran Martell didn't even show up.
Yeah.
He didn't even RSVP, he just stayed home.
But even before they come, Tyrion briefly explains the animosity these two houses have for each other to Bronn. Kind of a way for the audience to get a little first quick hint of the season to come and this struggle. But and you can even tell when they say that Oberyn came earlier, you can tell Tyrion's a little shook, because he knows why. He knows Oberyn, and he knows why he's here.
Yeah, this is a man with a reputation like Tywin. He's just famous throughout all of Westeros, famous throughout the world as a legendary warrior, and it's an introduction to a character played by Pedro Pascal, one of the most charismatic characters on the show, a fan favorite, a character that people wish had an extended stay on the show, but circumstances made it that he was only going to be a one-season character.
Well, he left his mark, that's for sure. And right when they introduce him, he just takes over the scene right away.
Yeah.
And they set him up perfectly for the type of person he is. And like you said, a fan favorite.
Yeah, and I think both of these characters, Ilaria Sand is a character that she saw a lot of pushback in Season 5 because they kind of changed her role from the books. But I think both of these characters have a fantastic season. And Oberyn is just, with his sexuality, he's a bisexual icon.
Yeah,
I'm afraid I'm not on offer, my lord.
Everyone who works for Littlefinger is on offer. Take off your clothes. We'll be here a while.
My lord.
I'm a prince, boy. Have you ever been with a prince?
Tyrion says it, he has a reputation for fucking half of Westeros, and
it's more like all
of Westeros. Yeah, he doesn't, it's like the Curb Your Enthusiasm, where he's greedy. He wants both sides.
Yeah. Again, reinforcing the hatred between these two houses, he overhears the Reigns of Castamere being sung by, I guess, a Lannister soldier. He kind of like talks to them like they are Lannisters.
Yeah, that's what it kind of feels like, that everybody in the Lannister army is a Lannister.
Yeah, I get that sense too, but it's a little confusing at first if you don't really know the ins and outs of the houses and their soldiers. But yeah, you could tell he doesn't like that song. It's not on his playlist.
No way. He listened to it once and he didn't download it.
No.
May I tell you a secret? You're not the golden lion. You're just a pink little man who's far too slow on the draw. Longsword is a bad option in close quarters.
Then Tyrion comes in, and they know that this is the place where Oberyn was going to go. And the exchange between Oberyn and Bronn is great, where he says, "How did you become a knight?" Guess I killed the right people. And Oberyn is saying, "Oh, let's celebrate. Let's get some girls."
We'll need a few more girls. Girls, yes?
It's like, I like this guy.
Yeah.
They would make a great, like, duo. They had more scenes together, and
Oh,
they were
yeah.
just chilling around King's Landing.
That's a big three, Oberyn, Tyrion, and Bronn.
Yeah.
That would have been a great trio, just traveling the world. But the conversation had between Tyrion and Oberyn, you talked about it too, the animosity between these two families. It's something that you probably don't remember if you're an audience member, if you're a casual fan, because they don't really touch on it. But here we're getting the explanation from a member of the Martell family.
I don't mind exposition when a show like Game of Thrones, because it is very exposition-y, but it's needed.
I think it's even needed for Tyrion.
Well, I'm pretty sure Tyrion, being the smart guy he is, he knows the ins and outs of the story.
Right, he's heard rumors, like he said, but once those rumors become fact, once you meet the legend, the myth, somebody that he hasn't met before since they were very young, so it's just, he realizes that he now has another enemy inside of the capital, and Tyrion is in such an awkward position because he's fighting both sides. It feels like he's not part of that family, and I think Oberyn starts to realize that throughout this season.
And my sister, you know what they did to her? I'm asking you a question.
I've heard rumors.
Well, even in the beginning, when he first meets him, it's, oh, let's get some more girls. Like,
Yeah, right.
he's ready to hang out with Tyrion. He's like, oh, he doesn't really associate him to Tywin.
And in different ways, they are kind of the outsider of their family, where Oberyn never wanted to rule, that he wanted to explore the world. And he's just such a fascinating character, too. I always said that a prequel spin-off with Oberyn would be great. Just to see him traveling the world, visiting the Citadel, forging some links on his chain.
Yeah.
The guy's just awesome. But they're outsiders in different ways. Just hearing the story told from Oberyn's perspective, you could tell why there is animosity between these families. It's a brutal history.
And play that line real quick, that last line.
Tell your father I'm here. And tell him the Lannisters aren't the only ones who pay their debts.
That gets me every time. I was getting fucking pumped when I was watching it, even though I've seen it so many times. I'm like, he might win this time. he might give Tywin what he deserves.
Yeah, it's always funny watching movies or stories where you're rooting for a character and you know they're going to fail. And our first scene with Daenerys in Season 4, it's her spending time with Drogon and the dragons. And this is always fascinating to me, too, the dragon intelligence, where Jorah has the line to Daenerys because you know that they always say never touch your dog while he's eating? I don't think anybody ever told that to Daenerys because she's trying to calm Drogon down and Drogon snaps at her, literally. And it fascinates me, too, the dragon intelligence. How intelligent are these creatures? And this is where it gets to a point where she's starting to lose control of them. It's the very beginning of that. They're no longer children. They're bratty teenagers.
Yeah, they're just going through some tough times. Their bodies are changing at a rapid rate, as you can see, because they're fucking huge.
Yeah.
And yeah, they are acting up, and I think it's shocking to Daenerys at first. And Jorah says, I mean, the dragons, Khaleesi. What do you expect? Like, they can't be tamed. We see as it goes later on, then she gets a handle on it. But right now, it's a struggle for her.
Yeah, that's another thing, too, that goes back to her ancestors, why they were breeding with brother and sister, that they were trying to keep the bloodlines pure because the dragons can sense that magic inside of them, and that allows them to create that bond. And it's something that I wish they would have gotten into more in the show. It's another hopeful thing that I hope they address in Season 8, but in the books we'll probably get more of that.
I think it's kind of implied at this point, especially when Jon met Drogon in Season 7, where he had that sense, and then we finally find out his true parentage. So I think it's more of just implication rather than outright explaining it in the show.
And new Dario, not off to a hot start.
Well, she's like,
who the hell is this guy?
She's like, where's Dario Naharis? You see, I need to use the full name, so when the audience sees this new guy, they ain't that confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Grey Worm. No way they were fucking sitting there since midnight. I'm calling bullshit on that.
Well, they're like that Indian guy, that really religious Indian guy that's kept up his arm
Gandhi?
for like 45 years. No, not Gandhi. He's like had his arm raised for like the last 45 years, and it's just stuck there. It's like rotted in the air. So when I saw this, I thought, oh, there's no way that they're going to be able to bring their arms down, let alone they've been keeping them up for 24 hours. But it is funny that they're both trying to impress the queen, and that's something that is not going to get you on Daenerys' good side. That she is a very classy and smart leader. She's not looking for these superficial things.
Old Dario, he's fucking doing that for a fortnight.
Old Dario was holding up 10-pound weights while doing that shit. And we talked about it too in the last episode, the season finale, when Sansa learns about what happened to her mother and her brother, and we see the repercussions of just dealing with that trauma, that she's not eating, she's always depressed, she's always crying. And Tyrion is trying to break through to Sansa, telling her that your mother would want you to endure. I knew your mother, even though she tried to kill me, but she'd want you to keep going.
Yeah, and she won't eat, obviously, and she knows all the details of what happened. You know what happened to my brother after they killed him. They put his head, Direwolf's head, on his body. They slit my mother's throat to the bone and threw her into the river. And
I think at that point people were thinking, ooh, Lady Stoneheart?
yeah.
Little mention.
It's great when Tyrion's reminiscing about Catelyn. He says he never really knew Robb too well, but he knows Catelyn, and she even though she tried to have me killed, I still respected her. And he's in a tough situation. What do you say? There's nothing he can do to make her, I guess, feel better or just fix the situation. It's just you kind of just can't do anything.
And she says she's going to the God's Woods because that's the only place where people won't talk to her. And he's trying. He's putting in the effort, and I think deep down Sansa could appreciate that, but moments like this, you truly want to be alone, especially when you're surrounded by the people who killed your family. Yeah. A lot of times when you experience tragedy, you're not put in a situation where you have to spend time with whoever caused you harm. So it's a very unique situation for Sansa. The more that I watch and revisit this show, the more I appreciate Sansa's character, because I know a lot of people get frustrated with her character, but listen, she is a good-hearted person that was just put through the ringer. And for her to come out on the other side in Season 8 where she's just not a complete madwoman, I think that says a lot about her character.
Yeah, it does.
Here we have Shae, where she gives Tyrion the look back where Tyrion tries to grab Sansa's hand. And in this next scene, Shae is trying to seduce Tyrion because she sees the writing on the wall, that this thing between them is coming to an end.
Yeah, like you said, she sees it all slipping away, but she's so close with Sansa now, and she's been with Tyrion for how long now? She's got to know that this really is nothing there between them, where Tyrion is just trying to be a good, kind-hearted person like he is, and trying to help Sansa during this time. And yeah, it's not the best situation to be in, but there's better ways, I think, about going about it.
Yeah, Cersei has a great line in the next scene between her and Jaime, where Jaime says something has changed, and Cersei's like, yeah, everything's changed. So even with Tyrion and Shae going back to Season 1 when they first met, things were a lot easier then. Now the whole world is gone completely bent, as Davos likes to say. Everything's going to shit. So you have to understand your circumstances now, that she should be playing things very close to the chest. Yeah. She shouldn't be acting out. She shouldn't be trying to seduce Tyrion. You're in a good situation here. Just keep a low profile, but she can't do that. Love will make you do crazy things.
Yeah, one of Cersei's spies snags her right when she leaves.
Right, and this scene too with Jaime and Qyburn and Cersei, where Jaime gets the golden hand for the first time, that eventually starts to move, the magic golden hand, according to Marissa. Go watch Game of Thrones Season 7 Preview Part 3.
I wish that they did the thing with his hand that it moved, and it's not just like some weird kind of mannequin hand chilling on him.
What, like Star Wars?
He gets a robotic
Anakin
hand.
testing out his
but
robot
like
hand.
you said that they're reluctant to do any magic things. That's what happens in the books, right? Like his hand moves.
No, it doesn't.
What?
No. You haven't read the books. Where is this coming from?
I want his hand to move.
You gotta stay off Reddit. There's no... That would be cool, though, a magic spell where you like the golden hand moves.
But I do think Jaime would be the one to probably kill Cersei or kill himself.
With his moving golden hands.
It's a force choker. It's Qyburn developing his relationship with Cersei as well, where he had helped her with a problem that she had, and she quickly learns that he is a very effective maester, or ex-maester.
Do you think the only qualifying for a good maester is you don't have to smell like a dead cat?
I think it might be, yeah. She's like, you know what? He doesn't smell. He doesn't have a stench. So
yeah.
I need to keep this guy in my circle. Qyburn, to me, he's a fascinating character because the way that he gets in with the Lannisters, specifically Cersei, that relationship that they have in Season 7, they're just like two mad scientists almost.
And before Jaime and Cersei start that relationship gets a bit contentious in this scene, before that, it's kind of nice. They kind of play well off each other.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, oh, it's nice. And then Jaime kind of swoops in. It's like, oh, yeah, I forgot they fuck.
Right, yeah, I forgot about that part.
Yeah, so.
And he's kind of doing the Shae to Cersei, where he's trying to seduce her, and she has that line, like I said, that everything's changed, that there is no time for fooling around, that we've got business to handle. And I like this, too, that she's blaming him for being captured. And in a way, I guess you could blame Jaime, because he was the one who starts the brawl with Ned Stark. He almost started the War of the Five Kings one could say. So, in a sense, it is kind of his fault that he got captured.
Littlefinger would have something to say about that.
Littlefinger as well, but there's a lot of different things that had to go right for this war, or go wrong for this war to get started. And we've always talked about that, how Cersei relies on the men in her life to maintain her power. And she even has that line where she says, "You're not really going to stay with the Kingsguard, right?" Because if she was in that position, she's going to Castle Rock. Like, I'm ruling the Rock, boy.
Rock is in the building.
Rock. Oh,
but it's kind of like a little selfish for her too. She blames Jaime because he got captured and left her alone.
Oh yeah, she's a lunatic.
It's like,
She's out of her mind.
Going through hell. I have one hand now.
You took too long. Jaime's what? What do you mean? It's only been 2 seasons.
Yeah.
You know how long Gendry was rowing? Come on, girl.
Fact.
But yeah, like you said, the spy, and she learns about Shay, and that proves to be very important later in the season. Going back to Ygritte, too, this is a great scene where we get a little glimpse into the relationship between Tormund and Ygritte. And it's kind of a father-daughter relationship as well, because he knows what she did, that she let Jon Snow go. He's still able to sympathize with her, because if it was somebody else, Tormund probably rips her fucking throat out.
He's a big softy.
Yeah, he is a big, yeah. That's why I love that character. He's a big softy, but he will rip your guts out.
Yeah.
He's capable of doing that.
Well, he calls her out. It's like, oh, she says, she uses present tense instead of past tense. It's
Yeah.
like, I've seen you fucking, I forgot what he says, but you're a good shot. If you got him 3 times, there's no way he's alive unless you won.
He is a liar. Shouldn't it be he was
Yeah.
a liar?
So
Stannis is in the corner just nodding his head.
Yeah, so we were kind of talking about that last episode. Like, yeah, she let him go. So
the best way to unite 2 people that are having an argument is for the Thens to show up. Because everybody hates those fucking Thens.
what a fucking difference these guys are from the books. They're more in tune like with the first men. They're seen as they would fit into Westeros more than the wildling counterparts. You know, Alice Karstark marries one of the Thens. They create House Then. It's imagine giving poor Alice Karstark to this fucking dickhead coming through.
Well, they kind of look like neo-Nazis. Got carved up heads. They're all bald.
Because they say like they're the most like in tune as like the last remnants of the first men. So they're very northern like, and they kind of worship their leader as like a god, kind of. So now they're just scarred up cannibals.
They are terrifying.
Yeah, no, they're definitely.
No, yeah, they have a very weird look to them, and they almost look. I always think to myself in fantasy, there's all these different races of beings. Like there's elves, there's dwarves, there's trolls. You have all these things, giants. To me, the Thens always felt like a sub-race of humanity. Like there is something different there, and I guess that's what they were going to, that connection that they had with the first men. But just visually they look so distinct from the other wildlings that you know these are Thens. And Tormund says it, he hates the fucking Thens, and like you said, they're cannibals. They were hunting crows before they met up with Tormund. And the leader of the Thens, he's kind of chastising Tormund for all the mistakes that he's made, that he lost his warg, he lost his baby crow. Even though there is an animosity between them, they have to work together.
I'll answer to Mance. I won't answer to you.
She yours?
I'm not anybody's.
And in Castle Black, Jon makes his return at the end of Season 3. And this is a scene that I always love going back and watching. Jon reminiscing about him growing up with Robb. And you could see that the esteem that he held Robb in, where he says he was a better fighter, better with the women, just better at everything. And that he wanted to hate Robb, but he couldn't. To me, that just melts my heart. I love to imagine these two just growing up together because I love them so much as characters.
I disagree. I kind of wanted a little more from that. It's kind of just past, like, you know, he reminisces while he's getting dressed and it kind of just passes by. Like a little more heartfelt Jon. He kind of just moves on from it and goes to his meeting with Alistair Thorne. But I don't know. I don't saying, because you see with Sansa, she got like a couple scenes of her actually feeling it. And even throughout,
I don't think that's the first time he learned of it, though.
No,
I
yeah.
think that was probably just like
sometimes-
the 3rd time Sam's like, all right, Jon, we get it.
Yeah. And it's hard, too, without like an inner monologue or reading their thoughts where you might think about it more often. But
I did find it, for me, it was effective enough. Because even going back to Season 1, the one scene that they shared, that's another scene that I love going back and watching. When Robb is so excited, next time I see you, you'll be all in black. The way they embrace, you could see that they truly did love each other. And it's a credit to Robb, too, that he embraced this, in his eyes, a kid who was a bastard. He didn't have to do that. He could have been very jealous of Jon. They say in the books that Ned was always very protective of Jon. So he could have taken that a different way, and he didn't. And a reintroduction to everybody's favorite Lord of the City Watch, Janos Slynt. Totally forgot about this guy.
I was like watching, like, dude, you just fucking got here. Fucking make the rules.
He's like, I run this bitch, and now you about to die.
He's a fucking annoying piece of shit.
Have you ever been beyond the wall, sir?
I commanded the city watch of King's Landing, boy.
And now you're here. You must not have been very good at your job. How dare you!
It just speaks to John's character, too, that he's just being brutally honest with them. He doesn't lie or mislead about anything, any detail.
No, and Eamon respects that about him.
And it's cool, too, the uncle looking out for his nephew. They don't even know that they're related.
He knows.
He knows? You think so?
Yeah, you can tell when people are lying. You hear that? You hear him?
That is true. He did grow up in King's Landing.
Yeah.
It's a great line. He's always so good, that actor who portrays Eamon.
Imagine he knew this whole time.
Yeah. Just kept it to himself.
Yeah.
But Kit Harington is great in this scene when he talks about, I laid with the wildling woman. I slept with the wildlings. I fought with them. I climbed the wall with them. So trust me, you dickheads, because I came back. I didn't have to come back. I could have just rolled with them. They're rolling up with 100K, boy.
Here's a live feed of the wildlings north and south of the wall. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't trust him.
Guy. Yeah, that's why Alistair Thorne in the show, he does piss me off because he's just so illogical at times.
Well, it's so funny, too, when he says about the Giants, and Janice Lynch's like, oh, Giants.
You're giant.
But Alistair and the rest of them are like, chill, guy.
Yeah.
We've seen some shit.
There might be giants.
Yeah.
There might be mammoths, and they might ride those mammoths. That's one of my favorite fucking lines of season 4.
Even though you won't see him because he'll be hiding in a fucking pantry.
When Janos is on top of the wall and he's bugging out, and John's like, those are giants riding mammoths out there.
Oh, I'm out of here.
And two characters that we haven't seen for a couple of episodes, Marjorie and Olenna, and they're preparing for the wedding, and Olenna is just dismissing all of the jewelry that has been laid out for them. Rich people problems.
Yeah, what the hell?
Get this out of my sight. I do like when she sends the girls on like the little Easter egg hunt, and they're like,
I love too when they sit down and Marjorie's like, oh, I'll just let Joffrey pick it out. Pick a necklace of pigeon heads or something like that.
Yeah.
But even Olenna's like, yo, chill.
There's, yeah.
Even though I'm here, people are probably listening.
Yeah. But her reaction, too, when Brienne walks in gets me every time. She's so taken back by Brienne. And the writing for female characters in the show has always been commended. But to me, it's three examples of different ways that you can portray strength. Where you have Olenna, you have the wits and the cunning. Marjorie, you have beauty, wits, and cunning. And Brienne, you just have this brute strength. And that's why when they say strong female characters, they come in all shapes and sizes. And this scene kind of exemplifies that. And the way that she describes Brienne, too, is perfectly singular.
It's like when you're describing, like, oh, they're unique.
Yeah.
To describe someone, they're kind of like, oh, what's wrong?
Thanks.
No, but Brienne's awesome. And I love, too, when she asks for her to have a word at Marjorie. And Olenna's like, oh, I wonder.
Best not refuse.
Yeah. And they go on a nice little Game of Thrones-esque walk in the park.
Yeah, walk and talk. Aaron Sorkin, walk and talk in medieval times. And it's another thing that you almost would forget about, too. It's like, oh, yeah, they have the Renly connection.
Yeah.
And Olenna brings it up, too. It's like, did you knock my grandson into the dirt like the silly little boy that he is? But they're discussing the assassination of Renly, and Marjorie is still interested in this because I think Marjorie probably respected Renly, and she knew that was going to be her best chance to rule the Seven Kingdoms. Even that they have to keep on the down low. They have to hush-hush.
And you see the differences between Marjorie and Loras regarding Renly. Whereas to Marjorie, he was a means to an end. She kind of just brushes it off. Like, she could be making this up about the Shadow Stannis or not. It really doesn't matter to her.
Right, yeah, that's a good point.
But Loras still, like, he wants to go at Brienne when he sees her because he thinks that she's the one that killed Renly.
Yes.
So you could just tell right away, Marjorie, she's in it for herself. She can care less what happened to Renly, who did it, why it happened. She's in the moment now, and she needs to go forward.
And in the beginning of the episode, the scene between Jaime and Tywin, they get into what does Jaime truly want. And this scene where he's planning the wedding security, and Joffrey begins to mock him about the lack of great deeds inside of the Book of Brothers. Is that what it's called, the Book of Brothers?
The White Book, it's different.
Yeah, and he's looking at all the great knights, Arthur Dayne, Sir Barristan's probably got a couple pages in there, Sir Duncan the Tall, and he gets to Jaime and he's like, somebody forgot to write down all your great deeds.
Well, what had happened?
Yeah, what? Such a great troll job.
And this is the first time Jaime's meeting King Joffrey. He's kind of like, oh, this guy sucks. Thought he sucked before, but give this guy some power now.
Yeah, that son of mine.
He's the yeah, right? But yeah, he kind of checks Sir Meryn too. He's like, oh, I always watch the King. He's like, yeah, come on, I'm back.
Yeah, good job.
Step aside. And
Jaime's clever too. He's got an answer for everything.
It's kind of like sad and awkward and like in the books when he goes back and writes in his history.
Yeah, it is. It's you talk about him killing Aerys.
Yeah, like how he saved the city. It's true, but he's kind of like
Yeah, he's got to do it himself.
It's like making your own resume.
Yeah.
And just hyping yourself up.
Giving yourself your own nickname.
Yeah. So
Not the Kingslayer.
definitely didn't kill any kings. There was
Sir Jaime Lannister, the Golden Knight.
he spruces it up a little. Like, yeah, there's like 30 of them. You
Yeah.
know, I only had a little knife, butter knife, and I got through all of them.
He's stealing jokes from other comedians. That's what he's doing here.
Yeah.
But
Just
it
going
is
back to see like what Barris to do. I can win up that.
Yeah, nobody knows Sir Mike went. I'll just take his accomplishments.
Kill the Night King.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hey. That's why I'm so pumped for season 8 for Jaime.
Why you see they have all those pages ready, like all these blank pages.
Hell yeah.
They're leaving some room.
Give him that Valyrian steel hand. He's gonna be smacking the shit out of White Walkers.
That'll be fucking awesome.
Can't wait to see that.
Death by pimp slap for the Valyrian steel hands.
The Night King gets fucking pimp slapped, and it's just slapped. And back in Essos, Dany is talking to Missandei about the great city of Meereen, and she talks about the temple of Meereen. And Dany wants to know if it was really built by all these slaves. And she finds the irony in that she's marching with an army of former slaves to come take this city. There's been a lot of back and forth on how this storyline plays out with Dany ruling Meereen. For the most part, I think I enjoyed it. And especially them getting to Meereen is probably the best part of this 2-season arc. Or 3-season, I guess.
It takes her a little while. She likes to settle in, you know?
Yeah.
Even though she left fucking Yunkai in a hot second.
Oh, yeah, she dipped.
Here the weather's better, Meereen, this time of year, so
Yeah,
let's go, guys.
I want a big temple, too.
We see Dario picking out some flowers, you know. Still not old Dario, but at least he's trying.
Yeah, it's cool that he's familiar with the land, and he kind of foreshadows that Daenerys is going to have a tough time ruling in Meereen because she's not from there. She knows nothing about these places that she's trying to conquer. She's trying to do the right thing. And even when she sees the slaves that they laid out, 163 innocent slaves, that's why I push back when people say, oh, she went mad queen when she feeds the masters to her dragons, that she's killing innocent men that had nothing to do with it. I think that could get your blood boiling. When you see 163 individuals killed, innocent people, I think that she could be forgiven for making a mistake like that.
And also, the fact that she wants them to keep the bodies up, she wants to see every single one.
Yeah, she's not shying away from it.
No. It's her character. She always remembers every time she's been slighted, and it builds, and I guess that all manifests into the slaying of all the masters and Meereen and feeding them to her dragons. Oh, fuck them. They knew. You're telling me these guys didn't know what was going on? They might not have made the order or agreed with it, but they kind of just sat idly by and let it happen?
I'll tell our men to ride ahead and bury them. You don't need to see this.
You will do no such thing. I will see each and every one of their faces. Remove her collar before you bury her.
And this is a scene that, when you watch it, you just wish they would have included the Lady Stoneheart story. Because Brienne and Jaime are discussing the vow that Jaime made to Lady Catelyn, that if Catelyn sets him free, he will do everything in his power to return the Stark girls. And now when you're in a position where you can be a bit more comfortable, where you're not behind enemy lines, you start to rethink those vows. Because he makes a good point. Maybe Sansa, this is the safest place for her. I mean, she's not going to be staying here long, we know that, but the back and forth here, it's kind of the back and forth that they would have in season 2 and season 3.
Yeah, he's more at home. He definitely has more of that Jaime Lannister charm and charisma and cockiness about him.
It's a Cersei effect.
Think about it, yeah. I mean, him knowing Tyrion the way he does, this is probably the best possible situation for her, if that makes sense. I wish you would have included that to her, like, oh, she's married to Tyrion, and go on and kind of give a little more to that relationship between those two. Even though we do get it more this season, I think that would have been a nice stepping stone. Yeah, I mean, what is he going to do? I guess bring her back to the Vale? You just got home. Let him rest a little.
The logistics of getting Sansa to a safer place is almost impossible. And it's the first time that I think he insults Brienne since they had that scene together in the hot tub.
Ever since I returned, every Lannister I've seen has been a miserable pain in my ass. Maybe you're a Lannister too. You've got the hair for it, not the looks.
Where he says that you could have been a Lannister, you have the hair, but you don't have the looks. And it's that Cersei effect, man. When he's back around Cersei, he just becomes a dick.
You just picture him walking away from that. It's like, I'm back, baby.
I'm Jaime Lannister. And he looks at his hand. God damn it. And then Sansa here, when she runs into Ser Dantos, it's that boy Littlefinger, man. That boy Littlefinger in the shadows. Doesn't matter if he's on screen, off screen. That man's scheming.
Yeah.
That man is scheming.
Hell yeah.
And it's a great, that the fact that he knows what happened between Sansa and Ser Dantos, because I don't think he's not in that scene. But it's just amazing how he uses every bit of information and that he's able to retain it and use that for a plan in the future. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, it's expanded more upon in the books, but
Yeah.
the Florian.
Florian.
Yeah.
My Florian. She really puts her faith in this guy.
Yeah.
She was desperate.
It'd been funny if you just gave her the gems that end up poisoning Joffrey.
She drops them.
They just threw them away. Like, this shit's fucking disgusting. It's ugly.
I'll wear this with pride.
Yeah.
Turns around, tosses it in the God's woods. I don't want to wear that. I
I
don't want to wear that for you.
One of the Tyrell handmaids gets it. It's like, this is it. This is gonna win me the contest. I got the piece of jewelry.
Hands it to Olenna. She just smacks her in the face.
Wear it. Let my name have one more moment in the sun before it disappears from the world.
I'll wear it with pride, Sidontos.
And last season, the final scene that we see with Arya and the Hound, it's where Arya is starting to embrace this dark path that she's going down. And I think this might be my favorite scene with Arya and the Hound. It's just the dynamic duo at work, and they're just so good together.
It's like that perfect pick and roll combination.
Oh, yeah. This is Kobe and Shaq 2000, before it gets broken up.
Yeah,
this is the inn at the crossroads, right? It's gotta be, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But you see them scouting out. They're very hesitant. He knows they gotta lay low, and then she sees Polliver. All the flashbacks happen of what happened to Lamy, and the Hound delivers one of the most quotable lines, like, "What the fuck is a Lamy?"
What the fuck is a Lamy?
He killed Lamy.
What the fuck's a Lamy?
He was my friend.
He killed my friend Lamy. Yeah, and even before that, where she's asking for a horse, and the Hound saying, "I'll never give you a horse. Why? So you can ride away? I'm taking you to the Vale." But yeah, the Hound doesn't want to face these 5 men because he's on an empty stomach, and he feels like he can win. And
makes sense.
But this interaction that he has with Polliver, where he sits down and he's instantly recognized by the Lannister men, by the King's men.
He's the fucking worst, this guy.
Oh, Polliver?
He's like saying all these terrible things he's done, like very like nonchalant, just like he's talking to his buddy at the bar.
That's why, too, the Hound is like the perfect anti-hero, where he's not actively looking to save innocent people, but if he's put in a position where if he's across the table from somebody like Polliver, it's just, you could see at first he's trying to play it off. He's trying to disguise Arya's identity, really just being nonchalant, saying, I can use a drink, I can use a chicken. But as Polliver keeps talking, you could just see in the Hound, I'm going to murder this fucking guy.
Yeah.
And the chicken lines.
Oh, yeah.
Iconic.
Inspired litany of fucking memes across Game of Thrones fandom. And
listening to talkers makes me thirsty.
It's fucking funny. Yeah, and I actually had chicken for dinner.
Oh, yeah? While you were watching this?
While I was watching the episode. It was
honestly, every time I watch this,
came full circle.
Yeah, it makes me want to get KFC. Like, I can use 2 fucking chicken buckets right now.
And hungry. Think I'll take 2 chickens.
Ugh, KFC, man. I used to like, but you ever see like all those pictures of just everything terrible? Like
every time
people
I watch,
always find the most disgusting shit in their KFC chicken.
It's like that McDonald's documentary, Super Size Me.
Mm-hmm.
Just made me want to get McDonald's. Had the opposite effect on me.
It's like sitting down. It's like lung cancer affects all these things, and they show all like the disgusting body. It's like it's crazy. I need a cigarette.
I need a cigarette. Calm my nerves. But this is that line too that Polliver has, where he says, "You fought your entire life for the king, and you're gonna die for some chickens." And the Hound's like,
"You lived your life for the king. You're gonna die for some chickens."
Someone is.
One of my favorite fights of the entire show, because it's the Hound. He's not at his full strength. He is a little weak.
Well,
he's having some trouble. Yeah, and there's 5 of them. Great choreography. The shots that we get from the roof, where we see the perspective of the girls.
Yeah, that's
who are
great.
Being terrorized. And these are just terrible people. They deserve to die. But they're talking about raping Arya, and even Arya's like, "Yo, I'm gonna fucking kill these motherfuckers."
Yeah. Yeah, and the Hound, he does the best he can, but Arya helps him out. She finds a loose sword, and
But the way that the Hound squashes that guy's eye with a knife.
Fuck that, dude. He fucking dribbles it, man.
Yeah.
I was just like imagining myself in that situation. Just,
you know what that reminded me of?
God.
Saving Private Ryan, when they're having the struggle with the knife, and he slowly pushes it in. This wasn't a slow push. This was a turk, turk, turk.
Put the fucking moves on it.
Yeah. But this is the anime that everybody wants to see. Arya and the Hound is traveling around Westeros, fucking people up. And when she gets the sword and she kills the first man, I love the pose she does when she slits Polliver's legs. That little, she's looked like a ballerina with a sword.
And then she delivers what he said to Lamy right back at him.
What a callback.
He's kind of like, wait a minute.
Can you walk? No. You gotta carry me.
All right.
I always hate that. Even with the Lamy scene in this one, like that little needle just going right into the fucking throat.
Maybe I'll pick my teeth with it.
Well, when they did the recap and they showed Lamy's death, I kind of flinched. I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's like, I forgot about that. Damn.
I feel like they weren't even that close.
What do you mean? Oh, her and Lamy?
Yeah, they were like work friends.
They were acquaintances.
Yeah.
It's like my best friend, Lamy.
If it was like a Gendry or a Hot Pie, then yeah.
Oh my God, he's getting his head cut
I'm
off.
remembering every line he said, all that. Lamy,
Good memory.
Yeah.
Good memory by Arya.
Good hearing, too.
And then when they leave and she's got the horse, the Hound's got the horse, and you hear the Stark music, it's saying, yeah, we know what happened last season, but they're on the comeback. That there's still hope.
Is it in the book, too? This is where the Hound gets hurt, right?
Yeah, I think this is where he gets by the biter, right?
I forget how he gets hurt, but he doesn't. Yeah, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, but this is a close to a 10 out of 10 for an opening episode. And we said it last season that season 3 is so great, but season 4, a lot of people consider it to be the best season. The way that they just flow together, it's the one book. It's the Storm of Swords book. And it just only keeps getting better from here. That's why it doesn't feel like the beginning. It feels like a true continuation. Whereas every other season, the first episode was, let's reestablish the world. This was, let's move the world forward.
It really starts off with a fucking bang. What a great episode, setting everything up. And next week, man, right at you.
Ooh, that's a wedding next week, right?
Yeah.
Written by George R.R. Martin. What an episode. Oh. You want to go see First Man?
Hell yeah.
Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and before we go, I want to quickly thank our Patreon supporters. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to grow and evolve as a channel, so thank you for your generous pledges. If you are interested in supporting our channel through Patreon, visit www.patreon.com/nerdsoup, and you can see the different rewards we offer to our Patreon supporters. T-shirts, mugs, stickers, access to our behind-the-scenes video, and more. Thanks again for watching this video, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Or dislike, don't share, and unsubscribe. It's a binary world, folks.